Welcome students. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the interdependence of living things and also the living component and the non-living component of an ecosystem. Ecosystem is a limited area which is composed of biotic and abiotic components interacting among themselves. The biotic and abiotic components are the living and non-living things present in the ecosystem respectively. So in the picture we can see that the living or the biotic components include the insects, the kangaroo, the bird, the termites, bacteria, plankton, protozoa, algae, fungi, etc. And the abiotic components include the sunlight, the heat, air, soil, water, all of this. And all of these biotic and abiotic components are interacting among themselves and they are interdependent on each other. The plants are helping the animals and animals are helping the plants, and by this method they are interdependent on each other. The plants are helping the animals by providing shelter. The bird is making nest in the plant and many other insects, reptiles and other animals are also living in the plant and using the plant as their shelter. By the process of photosynthesis, the plant is giving off oxygen which is required by all the animals for the process of respiration. And in turn, the animals are giving off carbon dioxide which is required by the plants for the process of photosynthesis. And the plants are also trapping the heat energy by the presence of chlorophyll and by absorbing water and nutrients from the soil and carbon dioxide from the air. They are producing food in the form of glucose by the process of photosynthesis, and that food is eaten by the herbivores, and the herbivores are in turn eaten by the meat-eating animals. So the plants are surviving and plants are supporting the animals by providing food in the form of glucose. Not only the plants are helping animals, but plants are also being helped by the animal. During the photosynthesis process, the very important gaseous component that is needed by the plants is carbon dioxide. And the majority of carbon dioxide produced in the atmosphere comes off from the respiration done by all the animals. In the second picture, we can see that a bee is collecting nectar from the flower. When the bee is visiting this flower, the pollen grains of this flower will get attached to the surface of leg and the wing of the bee. Now, when the honey bee will move to another flower for collecting nectar, the pollen grains of this flower will get transferred to that flower, and in the process, pollination will occur. And by pollination, fruits will be produced, and fruits will have seeds, which seeds will fall off on the ground and give rise to the new plants. So the plants are also dependent on the agents of pollination like the honeybees, the wasp, the birds and the bat for pollination and seed dispersal. Apart from the plants and the animals in the ecosystem also has some invisible organisms which are called the microorganisms. The microorganisms can include the bacteria, the virus, the protozoans, the algae, etc. And we cannot see them with naked eye, but we need a microscope for observing them. The microorganisms are present everywhere, in the water, in the air, in the soil. They are breaking up the dead organic matters and breaking the complex substances present in the dead organic matter into simpler substances so that they can be absorbed and retained by the soil very easily, and that is again in turn used by the plant for the process of photosynthesis by absorbing through the root. So the microorganisms are involved in the decomposition process of organic matter and releasing the essential nutrients in the soil for reuse. We will try to differentiate between the plants and the animals on the basis of some points. The major point of the difference between plants and animals is that the plants are having chlorophyll, which is the green pigment, and that green pigment can trap the solar energy, and by trapping the solar energy, the plant can make their own food. But since animals don't have any chlorophyll or any green pigment, they cannot trap the solar energy, so they are dependent on the plant directly or indirectly for obtaining their food and nutrition. For this purpose, the plants are called the autotrophs because they can prepare their own food, and animals are called heterotrophs because they depend on others for their nutrition. Again, the plants are generally rooted in one place and they cannot move, but animals have locomotory organs and they are able to move freely. The plants contain chlorophyll, but animals do not contain chlorophyll. And plants can make their own food that we have already discussed, and animals cannot make their own food. Plants give off oxygen and take in carbon dioxide during the process of photosynthesis, but animals during the process of respiration gives off carbon dioxide, which plants use for making the food, and they take in oxygen for what is used by breathing. After seeing the interdependence between the biotic factors of the ecosystem, now we will see the dependence of biotic factors on the abiotic factors. The abiotic factors include all the non-living components of the ecosystem. The abiotic components of the grassland ecosystem are the non-living features of the ecosystem that the living organisms depend on. So we can see that the sun is there in the picture, and sun is giving off its rays, and the heat or the sun's solar energy is trapped by the green plants and it is used in the process of photosynthesis. So the green plants or the biotic factor is dependent on the heat or solar energy, which is the abiotic factor for making food. Now the water is evaporated from the surrounding, and it is again condensed and it is poured as rain, and that water is taken by all the animals for quenching their thirst. So these living components are also dependent on the non-living component, which is water, for the drinking purpose. So by this process, all the biotic factors are somehow dependent on the abiotic factors of the ecosystem.